Good morning. Welcome back to Morning at NTV. My name is Malaki Vilodera. Thank you so much for choosing this particular show. So we had Andrew Chamagero speaking to some students in Kololo Secondary School, and so that will form the main discussion on the show today, because the S4 students are beginning the practical examinations today. Yes, so do wish them luck, and of course that will be the discussion here on Morning at NTV, the thematic discussion. So after this particular segment, Kickstarter segment, we'll be jumping over to Andrew Chamagero just to get the views from the teachers and what they expect with regards to this year's examinations. But now on Kickstarter, we are having a discussion, very important. We've been having a discussion about the education system vis-a-vis unemployment and you getting employment, the kind of education that we receive from our schools, and of course that we were saying that directly has an impact on the unemployment in the country. But the government has been very vocal and very strategic with regards to fighting unemployment in the country. And so there's externalization of labor, yes, so where you can go outside of the country and get jobs. But the discussion has been, how can we make that particular sector, that space, safe and productive? And so in studios to talk about that, the externalization of labor, is Mr. Andrew Tumwine, who is the chairperson of UERA. Thank you so much for making time.
Thank you.
You're welcome. We've been having these stories, and just a few months ago we were celebrating, the entire world was celebrating the World Day Against Human Trafficking, and this is trafficking in persons. And so that has always been the conversation, and we were able to speak to some of the victims who were taken to other countries, promised good jobs, but on getting there the story changes. Most of them are actually abused, others are trafficked for sex and stuff like that. But UERA came on board to just make sure that there's sanity in that particular space. Tell us more about that.
Thank you very much, presenter. Good morning, viewers. Yes, the Ministry of Gender, Labour and Social Development established a unit way back in 2005 to streamline this sector. This was after realization that Ugandans were going abroad anyway to work on their own. So the need to streamline the sector was seen, and therefore, and that's the establishment of the unit under the ministry. UERA comes on board to offer a platform, a common platform for the licensed companies in 2013. Mm-hmm. And our therefore objective is to ensure that we engage with the partners, different partners, both in Uganda and outside Uganda, to ensure that the industry is properly managed, that the stakeholders get what they expect, because then we are able to move this sector forward. Mm-hmm. Therefore, we are there to ensure precisely what you are saying, that the job seekers who need employment get the right employment, get the right benefits, so the expectations are met. We are now about 100 companies, 101 companies licensed by the Ministry of Labour, and we've so far, since the license regime was put in place, we have 120,000 Ugandans out there in the Middle East. Some of these, of course, went on their own, mm-hmm. But on records, those who went through the system are over 70,000.
Over 70,000?
Over 70,000.
And we have some of them on record, especially them that had bad experiences. Let me just give you this before we move on. Let's take a look.
Yes.
Suffering are trying to come back, but they have nowhere to move from the country coming back this way until they complete the season there. For no reason, they stopped me from bathing, eating, become problem. Work, and I could clean like somewhere I went. They could give me, house was very, very big. I should clean that house.
So most of them say, for example, she says that she was taken there, of course, ended up doing a job that was not what she expected. And through that process, she was abused sexually, emotionally, physically, you know. And these are cases that we've been hearing. Even when we were on ground, there's a day we were having that particular topic, on that particular day when the world was celebrating the World Day against, you know, trafficking in persons, human trafficking. And so these are the stories that are coming out, especially with countries to do with, you know, Oman, Afghanistan, all these countries. What is UERA doing? Because the issue is not getting there. The issue is once they get there, trouble starts. Do you follow up?
I agree. However, we need to distinguish between safe labor migration and trafficking. There are people out there who are involved in trafficking. These people may lure Ugandans into leaving the country without necessarily having proper jobs for them on the ground. Whereas when it comes to safe labor migration through licensed companies, we have the jobs are secured before people leave the country. Mm-hmm. They have contracts signed and approved by the Ministry of Gender, Labour and Social Development. So the risk is therefore very minimal, if any, when it comes to safe labor migration through licensed companies. Whereas when people are trafficked, or when they adventure on their own, then they have no fallback position in case there are problems, mm-hmm. because nobody is responsible for them on the other side.
So with the 101 companies that
yes.
are under UERA,
yes.
the ones that you foresee,
correct.
Do you follow through to ensure that they abide by the guidelines
of
yes. deploying,
yes. I can also
recruiting, and also following up with these people once they're on the other side?
I can also mention that now there is a system in place, an online system in place. The Ministry of Labour, together with the government of say, the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, there is a program that is in place now, digitalization. The entire mechanism has been digitalized, so that you have people apply online through the companies, the approvals are done online, the deployment is done online, and the monitoring that is done online. Mm-hmm. We have a consular assistant in Riyadh right now who is in charge of managing the other side to ensure that all the candidates are online, their deployments are known, their destinations are known, so that if there's any problem, they can revert to the ministry or to the embassy, and then action is taken to make sure that whatever problem is resolved. So there has been change over time. I agree, in the past there were problems because there was a problem of communication. There was no mechanism in place to ensure protection of these people. But right now, as we talk, everything is protection for the workers primarily, and there are agreements signed between the companies, the sending company and the receiving company, mm-hmm. and there are also bilateral agreements between Uganda and some of these countries. Bilateral labor agreements have been signed, say, between Uganda and the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, and there's another bilateral agreement that has been signed between Uganda and the Hashemite Kingdom of Jordan, mm-hmm. and there are other bilateral agreements that are being prepared now between Uganda and Qatar and between Uganda and United Arab Emirates. So all these are measures that have been put in place to ensure protection of Ugandans. But however, one must make a distinction between somebody who goes through the legal channels, which mean going through a licensed company, and those who go on their own, either by adventuring to go out there and see what they can do, or those who are lured and therefore end up being trafficked. Mm.
So you have actually mentioned that Uganda has this bilateral agreements with some of these countries.
Yes.
So what happens to the other countries that have not yet gotten into this particular agreement with Uganda? Do we now say that let's wait until we have an agreement such that we don't take our people to those countries? For example, Oman, case in study, most of them that we spoke to said that they were taken to Oman, yeah. but the experiences were negative. Yes. So do they wait until the Ugandan, government gets into an agreement with all these other countries before they feel safe to go?
Yes, when it comes to female workers, I would rather they wait I would suggest that they wait until the agreement is signed between Uganda and Oman. Because we've had several cases of Oman, and yet we are not allowed, the licensed companies as of today are not allowed to take female workers to Oman. Because it was established that without these bilateral labor agreements, the conditions on the ground are not known, and therefore nobody is responsible to ensure that they are safe. So in fact, I can mention that most of the female workers who are in Oman today were trafficked. They were not legally taken there, except for professionals. If somebody is a teacher, if somebody is a professional, then that is different. But if somebody is going to work as a cleaner or domestic worker, then they must have been trafficked to go to Oman, because that's not agreed now. It's not acceptable by government.
Right.
Yes.
As the Uganda Association of External Recruitment Agencies, you have been very vocal with even sensitizing the public.
Yes.
But what many are saying is that they can hardly feel you in the rural areas, and this is where many are prone to this, very vulnerable. Of course, in the rural areas, many live in very deplorable states, and they can't wait to be told that we're promising you heaven, and they will jump on it. So what are you doing to ensure that you reach, the nooks and cracks in the rural areas?
Well, the process has started. For example, we have a symposium coming on the 17th of this month, it's October, and we hope that it will create awareness among Ugandans that have hitherto not known about safe labor migration. It's a process. UERA has only been in place for 5 years, as I indicated earlier, established in 2013. So it is work in progress. We are trying to sensitize the people. We're trying to use the media people to help us, because you can reach everywhere. You have the capacity to reach everywhere. So we are trying to inform the people, to sensitize Ugandans, so that Ugandans get to know that there are safe channels that they can use to go and get jobs if they cannot find the jobs in Uganda. Because obviously the first priority would be to find a job in Uganda. The first choice would be Uganda. But in case, because we all know that the jobs in Uganda are not sufficient for everybody and for all of our youth.
Right.
So going outside is a second choice. It's not the first choice. The first choice would be Uganda, but once they fail to get the jobs in Uganda, then obviously they can go for safe labor migration, and that is going through the licensed labor companies, labor export companies. And this they can verify, this information can be verified through either the Ministry of Gender, Labour and Social Development, or UERA. We have offices at BMK House, that is the Hotel Africana complex. They come to room 402, they'll find UERA, they'll get information.
Okay.
Or else they go to Ministry of Labour, they also get information about these companies.
So they also have to do their part in terms of doing their own due diligence.
Exactly.
They fall for it.
They need to get sufficient information before they can risk going out of the country, because this is a crucial matter.
Right.
That affects their own future.
Yeah.
Yes.
In the past 8 years or so, Uganda has exported over 70,000 workers. Yes. To the of course, we already have the agreement between some of the Gulf,
yes,
the
yes,
Gulf cooperating countries,
yes,
and the progress is quite steady. Yes. 70,000 people, that's no mean feat. Yes. But many would ask, now that we're fighting unemployment, yes, what will it take for me to be placed for a job using these licensed agencies? Do I have to incur a cost as well? It
depends. It depends, one, on what kind of job. Secondly, which country you're going to. Some jobs are free. Some jobs cost money. I'll give you examples. If one is going to United Arab Emirates, say Abu Dhabi, you're going to work either in customer service or security. These jobs are normally secured through agencies in United Arab Emirates. There are companies that are established agencies there, and their job is to source employees from outside and bring them into United Arab Emirates, and sometimes even send them over to other countries within the Middle East. Now, these countries, Uganda is not actually the major player. It's not even one of the major players. The major players are actually Asians themselves within Asia. The major player number one is India. They earn $74 billion every year from remittances. China earns $65 billion from remittances. Philippines, they earn $33 billion every year Uganda earns only 1.3 billion. Kenya earns 2 billion. Ghana earns 2 billion. Ethiopia earns 4 billion. So we are one of the small players in this. But we are improving. The situation is improving every year. We have countries that are our neighbors, Tanzania, and they earn less, 400 million. Rwanda earns 151 million. Burundi earns 40 million. So we're not doing badly. We're improving. We are improving, but we're not among the major players in this. But the industry of placement is a worldwide phenomenon. It's an industry known, and the benefits are clear. They are known.
Right.
Yes.
But when it comes to incurring the cost, are you able to tell us, okay, fine, you said it depends on where you want to go and the type of job you're looking for, but a rough estimate? Yes.
If you are going to Saudi Arabia, for example, and you're a female worker and you want to go to Saudi Arabia and do, say, cleaning or domestic work, it does not cost you any money. It does not cost anybody any money. It is 100% free of charge. Some people may buy passports here on the ground, incur passports and their initial medical, which is not the GCC medical. What we call GCC medical is the Gulf Council Corporation medical. That is done towards the end, before departure, and that costs $70. So that is usually paid by the companies. But
and the air ticket?
The air ticket is paid by the employer.
Okay.
So the companies here incur costs to get the people out of here, but once they arrive on the other side, then the employer sends the money to the companies. So in other words, the costs that we incur to take female workers, domestic workers, or cleaners to Saudi Arabia or to Jordan, that cost is refunded by the employer on the other side, by the companies that receive the candidates. Therefore, that doesn't cost money. But when you go to United Arab Emirates, as I said, to work as a customer in customer care, or rather customer care or security, these jobs are got through agencies on the other side. These agencies are established by law in those countries, in UAE, and they charge money. And the fees can range between $600 to $1,000, depending on the job, depending on the salary. And that money must be paid by the candidate on this side. Then plus the air ticket. The air ticket is also not free. Whereas in Saudi Arabia, the tickets are free, but to go to UAE, the tickets are not free. So you have the cost of the job, that is the agency fee, and the cost of the ticket. And that is, significant. It gets up to 1,500 in some cases, dollars, sometimes 1,600 or more, slightly more. But that is the range. The range is usually about 1,500.
And once you invest all that money, you are sure that you're going to get the placement that you wanted?
Certainly. Because you only pay that kind of money when you have already passed an interview. Because there are interviews that are carried out by the employer. The employer normally flies over to Uganda and interview the candidates. They'll give you an order. They'll give us orders. We mobilize candidates, get them to our premises, then we invite the employer. Of course, we make arrangements.
Right.
The employer comes in, and then the employer interviews the candidates and selects the candidates he would like to take. And on passing the interview, the candidates sign contracts. In the contracts, all the terms and conditions are stipulated. So they're able to know what they're going to do, how much they're going to get, and what are the benefits, and what are the obligations. All that is clearly stipulated in the contracts, the employment contracts.
So it's a clean process.
So it's a clean process. It's transparent. You can't go wrong. Because you go knowing which company. You can even Google and see the company, see what they do, you see their profile, so that one knows when they're sure of where they're going.
So in the event that agency X has placed me for a job, even the employer on that other side has come over, interviewed me, have done the contracts and stuff like that. So in the event I go to the other side and I face challenges, who do I report to? Do I have a form of communicating back? Because most of them that we spoke to say that once they get to their places of work on that other side, their phones are even confiscated, so they don't have a form of communicating. So what communication is there?
I think that used to happen in the old days. Now that doesn't happen anymore. People remain with their phones. And in any case, in UAE, they never even took phones from people because UAE is, as you know, is a liberalized economy. It's a liberalized country. People, and they also have labor laws, by the way. But okay, to answer your question directly, if somebody has a challenge, the first complaint would be raised by the supervisors in the company. They inform the company, the managers, it is a challenge. And if they're not helped, then there's also the embassy, Uganda embassy on the other side. But if the matter cannot be resolved, then they revert to us because we have agreements with them.
Right.
So they must meet the obligation on the other side.
Okay.
And the agreements. So these agreements, prevail. Yes.
Okay.
And if the worst came to the worst, then we get the people come back, they returned. And by the way, before we get licensed, we also give a bank guarantee to the ministry. So if the company does not carry out their obligations, then the ministry can take over the matter and charge us on our bank guarantee. Because we deposit a bank guarantee of 50 million to the ministry for any eventualities that would need, that have a financial implication. So if we externalize candidate X and that person has problems, challenges, and I cannot solve the challenges, we cannot solve the challenges at our level, then the ministry intervenes because the embassy will inform the ministry.
Right. And
the ministry then would intervene and put the charge on the company. So there are safeguards for these candidates who go out there.
All right. In terms of UERA playing the watchdog as well, because I'm sure your office is open and many people come to you just to verify if the agencies that have approached them are actually, authentic.
That's correct.
So once you get such tip-off information that agency X, give me these promises and maybe it's not, licensed, do you take it up a notch further to just help the government to crack them down?
Yes, we have. One of our objectives is to self-regulate as an organization. Organizations must have disciplinary committees. You have self-regulation. We ensure that we self-regulate, ensure that we do the right things, so that we protect the image of the industry. It's in our interest, primary interest.
Right.
Because in order to do business sustainably, you must do it right. Otherwise, you destroy your own image, and image is everything. So we do self-regulate. If one of our members is found to be at fault, we assist them. We try to see what we can do in order to assist them. Sometimes if there's a problem on the other side, we also intervene on the other side through the embassy, and we contact the companies on the other side. Because we can also stop those companies from getting people from Uganda. We can raise that matter with our government here, and the government here raises it with the government on the other side. And if the fault is with the other company on the other side, the receiving company, then that company can also be penalized on the other side.
So your monitoring system is?
Yes, is in place and effective.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
And as I've told you, it is digitalized. So everything is followed up, with the effectiveness that it needs.
Okay.
With that efficiency. We have somebody we are now actually urging government to put labor touches in all these embassies. But right now in the Middle East, we have people we're linked with who are doing the monitoring on our behalf.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. So in terms of monitoring, no stone is unturned.
No. Okay, there could be a few challenges, but they're being handled.
They're being handled.
They're being handled, yes.
All right. Okay. As we come to a close, what should we be expecting from this symposium come Wednesday?
Oh, the symposium is going to be a milestone for us because we think this is going to be a big event. We'd like to call upon Ugandans to come and participate. Those, of course, who may not be able to come, will listen, will watch on TV. We shall be there. And the chief guest is expected to be His Excellency, the President of the Republic of Uganda, with us. And, of course, we shall have several dignitaries. And this is really the milestone that will push us further in terms of sensitizing the public about externalization of labor in Uganda, to ensure that we create more jobs for Ugandans but that are safe, secure, and gainful.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right.
Yes.
And like you've promised, you're planning on getting the conversation outside Kampala.
Oh, sure.
Very soon.
Sure. Through the radios, we think we should be able to do that.
Okay.
And of course, a message from His Excellency Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, the President of the Republic of Uganda. I'm sure the Ugandans will now be confident that they can be safe out there. Our youth are safe. They can go and work and be able to get rid of poverty.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Mr. Andrew Tumwine, the chairperson of UERA, and that is the Uganda Association of External Recruitment Agencies right here in the country. So be sure to use the right channels. He has told you, in case you are, 50-50, you're not so sure about the agency that is approaching you, be sure to contact UERA or the Ministry of Gender, Labor and Social Development. They have all that information and they know them that are authentic and them that are not. That has been it for Kickstarter segment. The conversation today is on our students. S4, they're starting the practical examinations today. So after this short commercial break, we'll be coming back with that big conversation. Keep it here.